G'day, folks. So this is Niall McInnes here for the Mindset for Success series, and I've got here my great pleasure to announce Ed Wall, who's an advisor at the Entourage, which I'm a member of, and he's at the Entourage Business Development Centre right now, amidst a bit of flurry there and activity in the background. So Ed I guess achieved a lot in his sort of short span. He's much younger than what you'd expect based on on how much he's achieved. And I wanted to interview him especially because he's always got a big smile on his face, and I think that's a big plus for successful people. That's who I want to model as people that are having fun in business. So I'll sort of let Ed introduce himself, but from my experience, he's a very everyone's going to him for his investment knowledge, is also his knowledge on managing people, and as well as branching into being a sales manager at times in, I believe, the Commonwealth Bank and a lot of different areas. So I guess how would you introduce yourself, and what do you do? What do you do with yourself nowadays?
Yeah, thanks, mate, and hello to all the listeners. Hopefully, this is some useful information for you. So, I suppose before I start, I should apologise in advance for any noise that might be happening at my end. We don't typically do things normally, so it's not unusual if a party just kicks off in the background. So
yeah.
But no, look, thanks for the introduction, mate. Look, I suppose I often say that my business background was kind of back to front. So a lot of people kind of go out into startup business and kind of learn everything as they go along that way, and then their probably area of opportunity is much more around the high level, strategic stuff, building teams, leading with vision, mission, and values, and cultural stuff, and all of that. So mine was a little bit backwards. So I started out in corporate when I was 18 years old. 12 months later, it was with the bank, as you said, mate, and 12 months later, became a branch manager, and then kind of moved up through the ranks there, where I ended up leading teams of around about 200 or 220 people at a time. So that was, a very, sales-driven culture, very much remotely managing people as well. So you learn a lot from that side of things. And throughout the way, I've always been a really keen investor myself. So I bought my first property when I was 18, and then I started to build that portfolio up all the way along the way. Being with the bank obviously helped with that, being able to have the knowledge on what they want to see and how that works. And yeah, then I, over the last handful of years in particular, have very much been getting into the small business scene, obviously in an advisory capacity for around 1,000 odd entrepreneurs at the moment, but also very much in an investment capacity as well. So, I've been able to make a couple of small business investments, help people by taking board positions and helping advise from that standpoint as well. So a lot of my startup knowledge actually learned through buying businesses more so than building businesses. And then a lot of my, I suppose, financial and corporate knowledge around, raising capital and the higher level of business was all through a corporate background, actually. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's been a little bit backward as well, which I actually think has been a bit of an advantage.
Cool. I've heard someone else, a guy I listen to a lot on podcasts, Aubrey Marcus, and I remember him saying before I got into entrepreneurship that he was really glad that he started out dealing with other people's money first before he dealt with his own. But I guess in many respects, you probably were investing your own money beforehand. If you had your own properties at 18.
Yeah, I think, so definitely I did. I think the advantage I had was, I had some really good influences growing up in terms of people who I certainly saw as being financially successful. So it was probably something that I was drummed into me at a lot younger than what a lot of people would probably be exposed to. So my old man was very much, he used to be fairly high up in a corporate company, living in Singapore and that kind of thing. And I used to, as a kid, do a lot of, stock analysis and things like that on the open market for him and his colleagues as well when I was, probably 12 or 13 or so. So I got a bit of an understanding on how to value businesses. Only on a very kind of low level at that point in time. But, the biggest thing for me in terms of getting into property and things like that was I knew very early on that was an objective that I had. So I knew I wanted to get into the market. I knew that I had no other way of getting there other than just working hard and saving at that point in time. I think having that clarity in terms of what I was trying to achieve was probably the biggest thing that was useful for me in order to actually achieve that.
Cool. And at that age, did you have dreams of making, I mean, your first million, or what was sort of your vision at a young age? What were you sort of striving for?
I think that the biggest thing for me was I never wanted to be in a position, I looked around and I saw a lot of people who were, not miserable, but just not overly excited or happy with what they were doing. And, hence why I kind of got into the startup scene, because I admire people who are out there, doing what they're passionate about. But I think that, there was a lot of people that feel they feel trapped, particularly if they're in, a 9-to-5 job that they don't enjoy. So I was always just really passionate about whether I was working for myself or working for somebody else. I didn't really mind so much. It was more just around making sure that I wasn't reliant on anybody else. I wanted to be independent, particularly financially, and to do that, you have to think a little bit differently to how a lot of people might think around, financial principles and what that actually means. And that'll be success financially will be different for every person, of course. But for me, I was definitely setting my sights high and prepared to kind of put in the work while I was younger, so that when I was older, I didn't get stuck in that situation. So that was my motivation.